I think UDC is becoming a very, very strong institution. We have been able to attract incredibly talented people from around this town and around the country, which have brought an energy and insight into higher education that I don't think existed at this university in the past. One of the things we have is a committed board of trustees. We've done some pretty radical things in the past 13 or so months. Radical from the point of view of UDC, not radical from the point of view of higher education in America. We're trying to simply align this university with the best of public higher education in the country, because that's what the District of Columbia deserves. I think the Board of Trustees has been instrumental in doing that, and going forward, we will need a strong board to continue that momentum. We're making pretty fundamental changes from the point of view of the politics and the culture of the university, and it requires a board imprimatur. The board is a political entity. The board is also a tremendous resource, an intellectual resource for the university. They are critical in their views of various things, certainly a few of them very insightful and very helpful to us. So we need a board not only that can represent the politics, but we need a board that can bring new ideas and intellectual energy to the process of change. And that's something that is crucial for any university.
Well, one of the things that I know, when you first came in and I sat down and talked to you, I was impressed with the vision that you have for the university, which is, you know, large. And, you know, I was struck by something, dare I quote George W. Bush on this station, but I will. George W. Bush talked about the soft bigotry of low expectation. He was talking about K through 12, but that would be, I think, applied to what was going on at the university. People had such low expectations of this university, and when you came, it was such a breath of fresh air to have someone who really could see the university the way it was initially envisioned, as a real institution that could actually compete with some of the private institutions in the city. But share a little bit of what you have done over the last 13 months that you say is radical.
Well, let me just say, it hasn't been just me. It's really been a team effort to include the Board of Trustees, because they took some heat on this, to say the least. We separate out, people were trying to separate our community college from UDC for the past 20 years. And we were able to do that in a matter of months. We were able to differentiate the tuition between the community college and the flagship institution. We were able to, for the first time, impose admission standards on the flagship institution, maintaining, of course, open admissions at the community college. We were able to find ways of ensuring that the students in need had all of their need met. So we set up a significant fund for financial aid, and I have to admit that there was no student whose financial aid wasn't completely met at the university. We began to diversify the kind of offerings that we have. We took a really strong look at the quality of programs we were offering. Some are very high quality. Nursing, for example, biology, chemistry. We have extraordinary programs in business, and some were just not very good. By not very good, I mean they weren't graduating students. Mm-hmm. If you have a program in education where you're graduating 2 students a year, who are you helping?
Serving, right.
So we took a hard look at those programs and just changed them. We phased some out, we invented new programs, and what we found is a much more intellectually vital place. Also, we're fixing up the campus. The campus has been neglected for 30 years since it was put together. And one of the things that we found is just painting the walls helps. Putting up signage. We have a process in place to radically change the aspect of the university that opens out to the community. So it's going to become a place that looks like a convening point for not just the university family, mm-hmm. but the community in which it's embedded. We want to have cafes where people come to in the evening. We want to have all sorts of events that stimulate their interest in higher education, but also in the greater world. The University of District of Columbia is blessed with having 23 embassies within walking distance. We want to bring those international diplomats into the fold at the university and expose them to the greater community, which is what a great university is supposed to be doing. That's all in process.
Well, let me just say that Dr. Sessoms is exactly right. What he has embarked upon is a plan to reimagine the university. I mean, you talked about George Bush and low expectations, and that's what people thought about us. Well, we are in the process of a strong image makeover. Dr. Sessoms has brought on a strong team. I mean, some of the names you know. I mean, when you hear of names like Jeff Rulin and folk who are former ambassadors, people who are able to connect with broader communities and bring that in and add value to the university. Alan Etter doing communications. People who understand that world and are able to get our message out into the real universe. So let me just say, I'm a real big fan of the university and the work that Dr. Sessoms is embarking on.